passage from the book. And when I was reading this work-life balance, I was actually thinking, okay, another suggested that yes, it's a rosy picture like work-life balance. Employers should strive hard to give that work-life balance for the employees. But in real life, how much does this happen? And how many employers really do focus on this thing? Very few. Well, you can just count the companies on your hands. The rest of all is more about work, work, work. So somewhere in my mind, I started to have this question: isn't work-life balance a myth, an illusion? It probably is not possible at all. And that is where my next question comes to you. So where, in your book, where you have dealt with the work-life balance and how a healthy work environment requires an excellent work-life balance, but there are leadership gurus. Also, it's not only me that who felt it's only a myth. There are leadership gurus who have disbanded the concept of work-life balance. So, for example, the reason we shouldn't pursue balance is that the magic never happens in the middle. Magic happens at the extremes. This was quoted by 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐞. And there's also no such thing as work-life balance. Everything worth fighting for unbalances your life. This was quoted by 𝐜𝐨𝐬𝐤𝐞. And again, Jack Welch said there's no such thing as work-life balance. There are work-life choices, and you make them, and they have consequences. But somehow I agree to this particular quote. So, what is your take on this criticism of work-life balance?
Sure.
How do you propose to negate all of these people or these gurus who have said work-life balance is not possible?
Sure, it's a great question. Thank you for asking this question. So, first of all, if you read my first section of my work-life balance topic, I actually disbanded the idea of work-life balance, but then I had to reference it. I talked a lot about it in this reference. I have to call it something, right? And the only thing that people can understand is work-life balance. I have to relate it to a phrase or term. But then I'll come back to your question in detail. You mentioned about Gary's first quote that he is trying to find magic for employees, right? The thing is, he has a different point of view. I'm not disbanding anyone's idea. Everyone is obviously right from their own perspective. He is talking about performing employees, right? Now, let me give you an example. An employee struggling with his personal life, say probably got divorced or got a breakup, someone's death, maybe. And then he's going to office to earn his living. And then he is actually trying to match up with the performance, right? You are asking to get magic from him. You're asking to walk the edges. No, he's not going to walk the edges. It's a huge risk of people walking the edges, right, and falling from it, right? Those magic will not be created. And I understand Gary's point of view is about performing employees' magic. First thing, we need to make sure employees' mental health is in order. An imbalanced employee going to work and you're deserving magic from him, it's not going to work out. But then I'm not claiming that work-life balance is still there. There is a huge transition happening from the definition of how we saw work-life balance and what we see today. There is a blending that has happened, right? There's a blending because of the cultural changes. The work and life are not polar opposites. They are in the same frame. I too support that there is nothing called work-life balance, but it was there at one point. We cannot simply disband an idea, right? We can quote new ideas. Because we are in the transition phase. And people like to highlight themselves as probably disbanding something and coming up with something. No. The idea was there, appreciate it, and then during the transition, you're quoting something else. So that is my point of view. Work-life balance obviously has blended out because work and life are in the same frame. But I want to quote out that you cannot expect employees to perform if you are not noticing their mental health. Which company organizes training for mental health? which manager is actually speaking to the individual employees. They have a metrics card, they have a scorecard. You follow that. Everyone following one particular standard, it's not going to work out. The manager has to come out, speak to individual people, devise individual KRA for each. If you want to keep that manager on the roll, give him more work so that he creates individual employees. It doesn't matter 1,000 employees. He creates individual KRA for 1,000 employees. So that's my point of view. It's a cultural change, Lavanya and everyone. It's really a cultural change, and we are not there yet. People are struggling. People are frustrated, and that is the reason that I have stressed a lot about work-life balance. You're right. In my second chapter also, I discussed work-life balance. In my third chapter also, I have discussed work-life balance. Yeah, it's a great question. I agree and disagree with the points that you stated.
Thank you so much. Yes, we cannot disband it, neither can we ignore it, and especially I don't know during this COVID period where people work from home. Like you said, like when there is something happening at the home and you're bringing work also to home, rather than you want to have a relief, run away from your personal problem, have a distraction. You're actually bringing work to the home when you're trapped in that situation. Mental health was more important, or is more important during these days. Like when everything is merged, you cannot, kind of separate work, life. It's like you sit on the desk, you're at home, your kids are there, you're having a fight with your in-laws or husband, yet still you have to work. It's really difficult.